first up, we have Salvador Suniaga. Is that right? Am I pronouncing your name right, Salvador?
Yeah, right.
Awesome, sharing with us about industrial UX researchers and a new role in engineering, which sounds really intriguing. I think, do you have slides for us?
Yes,
Salvador?
let me share for you.
I'm hoping you should be able to share.
Okay, just 1 second. Right. Okay, I think you can see my screen.
Yes, great.
Okay. Well, let's begin. Right now, we are talking about UX research or industrial UX research as engineering new role. Let me introduce myself very briefly. I'm Salvador Suniaga, mechanical engineer and ethnographer of the Latin industrial sector. I have 13 years of experience in this sector. I am currently the technical director at SolidIndustry, which is a technical marketing and research initiative whose mission is to regionalize emerging technologies in the industrial sector of Latin America. Precisely today, I want to present how an interdisciplinary collaboration can be established between applied anthropology, specifically business anthropology, and engineering in the industrial sector. Okay, so you see, when it comes to the development and commercialization of technology products and services, both physical and digital, you need the support of marketing, sales, and product teams. Unfortunately, what happens very often is that only two factors are considered in the creation and implementation of technologies. First, that there is a technical need that can be solved, obviously, and second, that the client company has enough budget to pay for it. But there is a third factor which the entire industrial world knows, but which they don't pay attention to because apparently it cannot be measured or reduced into a metric or KPI. And this factor is culture. Both the organizational culture and of the companies and the different teams in their respective disciplines, and also the idiosyncrasies of the country, have a direct influence of the acceptance, rejection, and ways of implementing technologies. The reason is that each company and each society has its own value system, and these values are directly related to the progress paradigm of each country. For instance, to their concept of innovation, with the resistance to change, the ethics of each technology to be used, the notion of time as a resource, etc. No? So this goes beyond the scope of market research because, among other things, clients and users self-organize or self-categorize. This means they segment themselves into spontaneous categories that don't come from the marketing team, but from the companies or users themselves. On many occasions, marketing, sales, and product teams need to know the why and how of user behavior. This requires qualitative and in-depth information, not only quantitative, such as statistics or percentages, graphs, but actual contextual data. Okay, so therefore, the discipline that appropriately studies the influence of culture on companies and allows quantitative data to be enriched with qualitative data is business anthropology. Although it may not seem like it, business anthropology is a field of study that already has 100 years of history. It's more common to see professionals in this applied branch of anthropology in the US, Canada, or England. And lately, in Spain, Colombia, and Mexico, they are also popular. Even so, with its trajectory and proven success cases, the transition from business anthropologists to private sector is not very easy. There is a lot of resistance, misunderstanding on both sides, frictions. In fact, the last year at the Ethnographic Praxis in Industry Conference, the EPIC 2023, which is the world's most important conference for qualitative researchers in industry, we talk about these difficulties. In general, these are the obstacles we can encounter. One, there is a gap between the private sector and the academic sector. Sometimes it's difficult to combine both worlds because they have different approaches to achieving the same goal. For instance, in the private sector, the solution of the problems tends to matter more than the detail of the processes. It's important to solve tasks quickly and correctly, even if the process is not methodologically perfect. But from an academic perspective, there is a greater concern for methodology as well for the rigor and reflective and ethical dimensions of what we do. Number two, the industrial sector is very close due to its own dynamics and relations. In this world, there are many confidentiality agreements, sensitive information. For instance, cameras or take pictures are not allowed during visits, neither free movement around the place. There are patents to respect, internal regulations, ISO normative. You have to be careful that the information doesn't reach competitors, etc. Number three, the private sector ethos is quantitative and therefore doesn't understand or in fact disdains qualitative methodologies. And four, when it comes to technological products and services, the proposal to optimize or improve the processes has more impact from a technical authority or technical advisor. This last point, in fact, is one of the most significant. Not only this is challenging for social scientists, but actually sales and marketing teams are also struggling to influence technical teams in their decision making. To mitigate these resistances, corporate marketing jargon that refers to user-centered products and services began to use UX researchers as a label or name for social scientists working in private sector. However, a UX researcher is not exactly the same as a business anthropologist. The scope is more limited, more focused to the development of digital products. Also, although it should be equally rigorous. Okay. As you can see in this graph from Indeed, even so, the transition from academic researcher to UX researcher is not without difficulties because, as we have already said, authority is the factor that weighs most in the acceptance or resistance to change of processes in industrial companies. In addition to the fact that they are environments in which quantitative metrics are valued above all. Considering the reality of this praxis in industry, I would like to propose an alternative, the creation of a role of UX researcher from engineering, or in other words, the creation of the role of an engineer specialized in industrial UX research. Specifically, my proposal consists of creating a mixed research discipline, quantitative and qualitative, applied to industry. In fact, it will be an specialization or discipline very similar to the degree and master degree in techno-anthropology, well known in Denmark and Netherlands. And in this career, techno-anthropology, anthropologists and engineers are equally admitted. And it's about understanding how culture shapes technology, while at the same time, technology shapes culture. Considering these programs as a model or maybe a reference, we can further narrow down the research methods to focus only on the truly optimal for the industrial sector. This is necessary because not all anthropological research methods are effective in factories or workshops, industrial plants, engineering offices, etc. Okay, so to make the proposal of an industrial UX researcher make even more sense, or to be a more natural step from the perspective of engineering, it's possible to design it as the digital analogous of what anthropometry is for the development of physical products. If we remember, industrial designers and mechanical engineers have to use regional anthropometry manuals to estimate variables such as the size of the seats on a bus, the force we need to press a button or step on a pedal, the ergonomics needed by a spacesuit, or etc., among other diverse applications. So we can see that anthropometry applied to industry is already itself a user-centered discipline. And just as we apply anthropometry in the design and research of physical products, we also do it with UX applied to design and development of digital products, such as websites, apps, and software in general. The role or specialization in industrial UX research also makes sense as an expansion of the role of product marketing, business intelligence, or product management, since the deliverables of a UX researchers are directly used by these profiles during the development of the business. Finally, since for reason of time I cannot go any further, I want to show one of the research methods that works very well in the industrial sector. This method is called techno-ethnographic consulting. This consists of simultaneously conducting a technical consulting and a semi-structured interview. The main idea behind this method is to decrease the resistance of industrial spaces to qualitative research because they are unknown in this environment. So after each semi-structured interview with a client, a technical report is delivered. The report is usually highly appreciated since the client perceives it as an excellent post-sales service. But at the same time, the interview is useful to gather qualitative data. Of course, the clients are always previously informed about this intention and usually accept without any problem. All this interview data plus participant observation in each one of their companies is then categorized and analyzed to find patterns and insights. So this is a cool method to apply from engineering to apply this kind of methods, okay? So just for summary or in conclusion, the central point of this presentation is to propose a feasible alternative to link the research methods of the social sciences, particularly those of applied anthropology, with the praxis of engineering in the industrial sector. The specific proposal is to do it from engineering studies through a specialization in research and design of technological products, and a tentative name for this specialization will be industrial UX research. It's very important that professional training in this new discipline are instructed by actual anthropologists. It's very important because we have to be aware of the ethical and reflective dimension of this research beyond the techniques of the research methods themselves. With this collaboration, we will hope to create value for both the private sector and for academia, particularly in the creation of new knowledge in these hard-to-reach spaces such as the industrial sector. Okay, so this is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Salvador. That was great. I guess we have that was spot on timing too. So we have a good 10 minutes for questions and conversation.
Sure.
I'm not sure how you've been doing it this morning, Caitlin, but questions in the chat or raising